somebody. I'm not. I did it in my back pocket. Watch how funny this is. Go ahead.
Watch this.
No, don't hate me. Look at it. Oh,
You
what does
guys
that
got
say?
me fucked up.
What does that say? Oh.
Wrong guy.
Oh.
Wrong guy.
Oh my God. No, get the fuck off me, dude. Get off me, dude.
Bro, you're fucked up.
I need your card. I need your supervisor over here.
Thomas was a Black American FBI agent. One day, he received a call for an urgent case, leading him into an undercover drug bust operation. However, he was wrongfully targeted and arrested by 2 police officers who accused him of drug trafficking based on racial profiling. What has happened? Let's find out in today's story. Before we get into the main content of the video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to receive updates on our latest videos. Feel free to leave your comments with feedback on the content and any topics you're interested in. Your support means a lot to us. Have a great day. My name is Thomas. As a Black American, I have always been aware of the potential danger that comes with being Black in America. I have seen the stories on the news, read the statistics, and experienced it firsthand. But I never thought that I would become the victim of racial discrimination and injustice myself. It all started one evening when I received a call from my colleague, Agent Thompson. He informed me that there was a case that needed urgent attention, and I was the only one available to handle it. Without any hesitation, I grabbed my badge and firearm and headed out. The case was a drug bust, and I had to go undercover to gather information and evidence. I was told to pose as a street vendor and keep an eye out for any suspicious activities. It was a routine case, and I had done it numerous times before. Everything was going according to plan until 2 police officers approached me. The first officer, a burly man with a stern demeanor, wasted no time in asserting his authority. "You're damn right there's a problem. We've been watching you, and we know what you're up to," he declared, his voice laced with hostility. My heart raced as he attempted to defend himself. "What are you talking about? I'm just here doing my job," I insisted, my voice tinged with frustration. The second officer chimed in, his accusatory tone cutting through the air like a knife. "Your job? Selling drugs on the street corner?" he retorted, his gaze piercing through me with suspicion. Despite his growing apprehension, I remained steadfast in his explanation. "No, I'm undercover. I'm working on a case," I explained, desperately trying to convey the urgency of my mission. However, my words fell on deaf ears as the officers demanded to see my identification. Reluctantly, I handed over my ID, hoping it would alleviate their doubts and allow me to continue my investigation unimpeded. As the officers scrutinized my identification, I braced myself for their response. The tension in the air was palpable as they exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. "Thomas Jackson, huh? What's a guy like you doing in this neighborhood?" the second officer questioned, his skepticism evident in his tone. With a mixture of frustration and determination, I reiterated my allegiance to the FBI. "Like I said, I'm working on a case. I'm with the FBI," I asserted, my voice unwavering despite the mounting pressure. However, my explanation only seemed to fuel the officers' suspicions, and they dismissed my claims with disdain. "The FBI, right? And I'm the Queen of England," the first officer scoffed, his disbelief evident in his tone. Refusing to back down, I urged the officers to verify my credentials with his superior, Agent Thompson. "Look, you can call Agent Thompson. He'll vouch for me," I implored, hoping to quell their doubts and salvage my mission. But my pleas fell on deaf ears as the officers made their final verdict. "Oh, we'll be calling someone all right. You're under arrest for suspicion of drug trafficking," they declared, their voices dripping with certainty. "You've got to be kidding me! This is ridiculous!" I protested, my voice tinged with disbelief. "Tell it to the judge, buddy. You're coming with us," they declared, their authority unquestionable. As I was led away, my mind raced with a whirlwind of emotions. "This is racial profiling, plain and simple," I muttered bitterly, my voice laden with resentment. But amidst the chaos and injustice, a lone voice rose in protest. "Hey, leave him alone! He's done nothing wrong!" an onlooker exclaimed, his words echoing through the crowded streets. Undeterred by the officer's threats, the onlooker continued to speak out against the injustice unfolding before them. "It's police brutality. That's what it is," he cried out, his voice filled with righteous indignation. But I knew that his battle was far from over. "Don't worry about me. I'll be okay. Just make sure someone knows what's happening here," I called out to the onlooker. It wasn't until I was hauled into the police station and placed in a cell that I realized the gravity of the situation. My colleagues were looking for me, but my phone had been confiscated, and I had no way of contacting them. I felt helpless and trapped. The system that I had sworn to uphold had unfairly targeted me, and there was nothing I could do about it. The officers questioned me for hours, accusing me of being a corrupt agent and a traitor to my race. They even went as far as to suggest that I had planted the drugs myself to frame innocent black men. "You expect me to believe that you're not in cahoots with those drug dealers?" One of the officers had sneered, his voice dripping with skepticism. I had vehemently denied the allegations, my words falling on deaf ears. No matter how many times I reiterated his innocence, the officers remained unmoved, their minds seemingly made up before the interrogation had even begun. But it was their insidious insinuation that cut deepest, the suggestion that I, a black man sworn to protect and serve my community, would betray my own race for personal gain. The mere thought of it churned my stomach with indignation and disbelief. "You're a disgrace to your people," another officer had spat, his contemptuous tone sending a shiver down my spine. It was a betrayal on multiple levels. Not only had the officers disregarded my years of dedicated service to law enforcement, but they had also tarnished my identity as a proud black man. The very essence of who I was had been callously called into question, leaving me reeling with a sense of betrayal and disillusionment. I was appalled by their accusations, and my anger started to boil over. But before I could lose my cool, a tall, imposing man entered the room. He identified himself as Agent Johnson, the head of the local FBI branch. He stared at the officers with disdain as he demanded to know why I was being detained. At first, the officers were hesitant to reveal anything, but Agent Johnson's badge and authority forced them to cooperate. They finally admitted that they had mistaken me for a suspect and were about to release me. But as soon as they saw my badge, they assumed that I was a corrupt agent trying to cover up my illegal activities. "Excuse me, officers, is there a problem?" Johnson inquired, his voice laced with confusion and concern. The lead officer, a stern-faced man with a badge gleaming on his chest, wasted no time in leveling grave accusations against me. He remained steadfast in their belief that I was a criminal mastermind. "Your job is to uphold the law, not to make baseless accusations and throw innocent people in jail." Agent Johnson reprimanded the officers, his voice brimming with authority. "Do you have any idea who you're dealing with here?" As Agent Johnson and the officers argued, I sat in disbelief. How could this have happened? As an FBI agent, I had always been proud to serve my country and uphold the law. But now, I could feel my confidence and faith in the system slowly slipping away. Agent Johnson wasted no time in setting the record straight. He presented a video recording of the drug bust that clearly showed me in my undercover role, collecting evidence and interacting with my colleagues. The officers were left speechless, and I could see the shame and embarrassment on their faces. I was immediately released, and Agent Johnson apologized profusely on behalf of the department. But as he drove me back to the FBI headquarters, I couldn't shake off the feeling of betrayal and injustice. When we arrived, I was greeted with a round of applause and cheers from my colleagues. They were relieved to see me safe and sound, but their faces were also filled with concern and anger. I knew that they were just as appalled by what had happened as I was. Agent Johnson went on to explain that the officers responsible for my wrongful arrest would face disciplinary action, and the FBI would be launching an investigation into their conduct. It was the least they could do to make things right. As the days went by, I couldn't help but think about the incident and its implications. I knew that racism and discrimination existed, but I never thought that it could happen to me. It was a harsh reminder that as a Black American, I would always be vulnerable to discrimination and injustice. But the incident didn't deter me from doing my job. In fact, it made me even more determined to fight against the systemic racism and injustice that plagues our society. I realized that I had a bigger purpose as an FBI agent, and I was not going to let anything or anyone stand in my way. So, I took action. I embarked on a multifaceted approach to demand accountability within the police department responsible for my wrongful arrest. Within the FBI, I engaged in open discussions with my superiors and colleagues, making it clear that what happened to me was unacceptable. I brought attention to the systemic issues that allowed such injustices to occur, advocating for internal reforms to prevent future occurrences. By amplifying my voice within the organization, I aimed to foster a culture of accountability and transparency. Beyond the confines of the FBI, I reached out to journalists, advocacy groups, and civil rights organizations to share my story. Through interviews, press releases, and public statements, I shed light on the egregious misconduct of the police officers involved in my wrongful arrest. I highlighted the broader implications of racial profiling and discrimination within law enforcement, sparking crucial conversations about accountability and reform. In addition to raising awareness, I actively pursued legal avenues to hold the responsible parties accountable for their actions. I sought legal counsel to explore potential avenues for justice, whether through filing complaints, initiating investigations, or pursuing civil litigation. By leveraging legal mechanisms, I aimed to ensure that those who had violated my rights faced consequences for their actions. Furthermore, I engaged with community leaders and activists to mobilize grassroots support for accountability and reform. I attended rallies, town hall meetings, and community forums, sharing my experiences and rallying others to join the fight against racial injustice. Together, we called for transparency, oversight, and accountability within law enforcement agencies, demanding systemic changes to address deep-seated issues of bias and discrimination. Through these concerted efforts, I sought to not only seek justice for myself, but also to effect meaningful change within the institutions responsible for upholding the law. By amplifying my voice and mobilizing support, I aimed to hold accountable those who had abused their power and to create a more just and equitable society for all. I also made it my mission to educate my colleagues within the FBI about the realities of racial profiling and discrimination. Recognizing that awareness was the first step towards change, I meticulously organized comprehensive training sessions and workshops. These sessions were not merely lectures, but interactive forums where every agent had the opportunity to engage in open dialogue and introspection. I encouraged my colleagues to share their experiences and perspectives, fostering an environment of mutual understanding and empathy. One of the central themes of these sessions was the exploration of implicit biases, those unconscious attitudes and stereotypes that influence our perceptions and behaviors. I facilitated exercises and discussions aimed at uncovering these biases, challenging each agent to confront their own preconceptions and assumptions. It was crucial to me that we, as law enforcement officers, acknowledged the existence of these biases within ourselves. Only by recognizing and understanding our own biases could we hope to overcome them and carry out our duties with fairness and impartiality. Moreover, I invited experts in the field of psychology and sociology to share their insights and research findings on racial profiling and discrimination. Their expertise added depth and credibility to our discussions, empowering my colleagues with knowledge and understanding. But the goal of these training sessions went beyond mere awareness raising. I was determined to instill a culture of accountability and responsibility within the FBI, a culture where every agent recognized their role in combating injustice and promoting equality. Furthermore, I became actively involved in initiatives aimed at promoting diversity and inclusion within the FBI. I pushed for recruitment strategies that targeted underrepresented communities and advocated for policies that fostered a more inclusive work environment. It was my way of ensuring that the FBI truly reflected the diversity of the nation it served. But perhaps most importantly, I continued to do my job with integrity and dedication. Despite the trauma of what had happened, I remained committed to serving my country and upholding the law. I knew that by excelling in my role, I could challenge stereotypes and prove that black agents were just as capable and deserving of respect as anyone else. Over time, my efforts began to bear fruit. The officers responsible for my wrongful arrest faced disciplinary action, and reforms were implemented within the police department to prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future. The FBI also took steps to address issues of diversity and inclusion, recognizing the importance of having a workforce that truly represented the communities it served. But my fight for justice was far from over. I knew that systemic racism and discrimination were deeply entrenched issues that required sustained effort and vigilance to overcome. So I continued to speak out, to educate, and to advocate for change, both within the FBI and in society at large. And as I look back on the events that had transpired, I realized that while the road to justice might be long and arduous, it was a journey worth undertaking. For every small victory, every step forward, brought us closer to a more just and equitable society for all. What a compelling journey Thomas has had, facing injustice head-on and emerging with a resolute spirit to enact change. Have you ever experienced or witnessed discrimination firsthand? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your stories. For now, though, we're out of here. Catch you in the next video.